opening face-off, and I have a couple comments on this, I guess, breakout. Now, let's ignore the shitty pass, and let's kind of rewind and kind of break down everything. Now, the first thing that pops out to me is I have the importance of kind of ice width. So first element is we can kind of see there's a good level of neutral zone pressure, right? And they're really having a heavy presence at center ice with two forwards right there. So one of the things is I like to express the importance of using ice width, right? So the one thing that kind of bites you in the butt for starters is if you as a winger turn towards the puck carrier, which in itself is not necessarily a bad thing, but in this case we are not taking advantage of ice width, right? So boom, you're kind of coming towards center ice with the center coming in towards center ice. We are kind of hamstringing ourselves in this way, so that we're putting ourselves in a tougher position because of the forwards are already concentrated in the middle, versus if, in my opinion, what we would do is you can pivot backwards, widen out, and then you get that extra width. And what that really means is you're spreading out, one, the opponent, and number two, you're taking advantage of all that extra space. Now, it's not necessarily a bad thing to skate towards the puck carrier if you're going it with some sort of speed and then with the plan to slice and dice through the defense. And so, I guess the difference is if you were coming back and then had good momentum going this way, that would probably be the better play. Now, again, with the caveat, we ignore the shitty pass and we ignore perhaps a reset for a better pass should have been the play there. Now, moving on to Alicia, one of the things that kind of sticks out in my mind is, boom, she's coming back and puck's coming up. Now, in my opinion, one of the things that let's just play it out right now. Boom, stops, goes kind of back like that. And what I think I'm a bigger fan of is what you actually do is continue back, and you still kind of continue back slowly. Now, this is kind of where the importance of timing comes along, is you're going to be eyeballing your other forwards, namely the center is the best guidepost, and you're just going to come back. It's going to feel awkward because you're getting closer and closer to the D, but it's going to put you in a really good position to receive a pass. And the moment you do it, you turn, and it's going to give you lots of options. You can go to the center, you can go to the opposite wing, or you can go up yourself. And so it's kind of creating, giving you a lot of options to work with by doing this, rather than stop, got kind of bad momentum, and you're also really close to a defending forward. And then by doing so, now you've put yourself behind the other forwards, which again, it's in itself, it's not necessarily a bad thing, and in this case it actually might be a good thing, but at the same time, often it may make passing it to you more difficult, as sometimes they're going to be occupying the passing lane. So like, let's say if this player's here, boom, 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 more difficult passes to get through. So those are some comments there, right off the face-off. So almost immediately after that, we'll kind of break down a breakout here. And so let's kind of point out a couple things. Taking it behind the net. And one of the things I am a big fan of, again, is staying, like the wingers staying wide. That means staying close to the boards, unless something really obvious opens up, open ice, like puck gets here and like it's just wide open space. It's possible, like at this moment in time, it's possible right here, but the puck hasn't quite moved to the opposite D yet, so there's no reason for Alicia to quite move out that way yet, right? So why is it also important to stay wide now? It's the puck's behind the net. That means the puck could go in either direction, left or right. Now, by moving away from the boards, right, that essentially ultimately hamstrings us to have to move it this direction, right? This is no longer an option because it's just going to be an icing, or at least it's going to be a zone clear / turnover. So it's eliminating options for us for not really a good reason, right? So part 2 to that is rather than coming this way, just keep going down low, right? At the very minimum, I like this red line as like the highest, like get below that, so below meaning closer to the net, as your kind of starting guidepost. And again, you can try to use the center as your like the level of which you want to be. So center's here, well, you should probably aim to be roughly around here. Same with the opposite winger, just as a starting post, right? Like a guiding, and then from there, if there's open ice, you take it. But in general, it is better to come closer. You can do short, quick passes, and it'll make life a lot easier. Now, let's continue. So, as the center for Dave, what I think is the ultimate, will make your life a little bit easier, is you see how a little bit of a step ahead of yourself, I'll kind of rewind it here, is a little too fast, right? Puck hasn't moved in any direction yet, it's still behind the net. So you just kind of, I think, ultimately you want to keep on gliding, almost touching the crease, essentially. So use that time to really slow down. See, you've already moved in this direction before the puck has moved that direction. So we don't want to quite do that just yet. And then the moment the puck moves, right, from there, so you're going to be starting back here, is, in my opinion, is you almost want to use the circle, the face-off circle, as your guiding post. And so what it's going to look like is you start from here, and then you're going to sweep down, like almost touching that goal line onto that edge of the circle. So you can be really close to that D, almost as if you want to swoop in and steal the puck off of him, but not quite. And so how that's going to work out is going to be really close. And if there's a loose puck bouncing off the boards, you can come in and swoop up. Winger can come out in the middle. Things like that can open up. Or if not, you're going to be close, short, like really short pass and up. Upsy daisy, right? And the whole time you want to be having that forward momentum versus, you see how that's fairly awkward. You're caught on a pivot. You're not really in a prime position to receive the puck at this moment. And then so let's say exactly like that, puck comes out loose. instead of what you did here is come up, pivot, go back down, turn back around, right? Ideally, what you would have done is eliminate that pivot and turn around, and exactly like this, that is the path you would have been kind of slowly coming along that edge of the circle, and then now you essentially finish off what you are at right here. So that would be perfect. So that's the slight adjustment. Now for the opposite winger, right, Alicia, where she is right now is fine in itself. Now there are some challenges being so far ahead. Typically, meaning usually you'll need to have skills such as pivoting on the fly, and otherwise, like I've said before, we want to use almost that center as a guiding post, right? If you started wide on the wing, how that makes it easier is this pass right here. Tough, right? Your back's turned, you're facing forward, so it's harder unless you pivot facing the puck, receive, and then pivot back. But if you can't do that, right, it becomes tougher. You can't receive it quite as well. Boom, lost the puck, right? It's icing. Versus if you were on the opposite ice, like taking that width of the ice, right? So you're starting from here, using that center as your guiding post, right? You're going to be timing that up together. Much easier, right? So a pass coming, like let's say, if the pass was coming from this blue line, coming across that body, much easier to receive than behind the body, right? So a few adjustments there. You just essentially, the problem is we're skating so far ahead of the puck, it's making life really difficult for the passer to pass and then the receiver to receive. So those are my thoughts there. So this one for Ray, pretty clear some of the mistakes that made his life difficult. So rewind. More than that. So boom, from here he's opening up to break it out, sees not really any good options. Fair, fine enough, not a problem, right? Turn around, and immediately you want to get behind that net. So first mistake is he skates in front of the crease. Not really a good spot, right? To scan anything, any poke check, big problems, right? Can poke it right into the net. So at this point, yeah, okay, if you go in front of the crease, just get yourself behind the net, then you can evaluate options, right? So you're really just buying yourself time. So he looks there, he's still looking, whatever, fuddling with the puck, whatever. Tons of options on that left-hand side. And so perhaps he's concerned right now, lost the puck, and so it recovers it. Would have been perfectly fine. Get it behind the net, then you can pass it to one of two options, easy peasy. What does he do? Oh, let's do some fancy moves back this way. Let's hamstring ourselves, make that ice, cut it, like you're just shrinking your area of operations even smaller and smaller. Super easy for them to forecheck the shit out of you because you don't use the net. Skating this way, still looking for options, right? But it's all self-inflicted harm, right? Instead of going behind the net to open space up, you decided to, oh, let's continue this way, easy for checking pressure, and then we got some problems. Now, are there things that we could do as far as to help a little bit more? Certainly. So one of the tricks we would say for the center is you're going to be swooping really, really close, like not even there, just and yelling for the puck. So like you're turning here, I would almost swoop like super close like that, yell for like a little nice trip pass, and we're out of the races. Ray can certainly bump it up the boards to our winger. And some elements, I think we're a little high. We're at the blue line, don't want to see that. But in this case, it's okay. And then, boom, forecheck, lost the puck, right? So, self-inflicted harm, just making life more difficult for yourself. And like I said, get it behind the net. It's usually going to buy you that 1-2 seconds worth of extra time to make better decisions. It's just going to make life easier. Alright, so coming back in, clear, but that's the goal against. I wouldn't say it's anything done wrong. It's just loose puck, bumped it to the middle in the slot, and then right to the opponent's stick. Couldn't get a handle on it, right underneath the glove armpit, and snuck into the net. Now, what do I think is better? Usually, when we're not really certain about the puck in the slot, I am a big fan of knocking it into the corner if it's possible, right? In this case, maybe it's a little suspicious. We've got 4 players kind of like coming down to the puck, a little sketchy. So an attempted clear is certainly fine, and it looked like it rolled, like it just kind of bumped off. Not the greatest puck luck, or it hit somebody his leg. So what can you do? And in, so that's a goal against. I don't think it's a tough one. All right, face off. So for checking pressure, I've kind of thought about what's the easiest system to implement for checking and neutral zone defense. So a very typical one we've kind of previously talked about is a 1-2-2, where it's just one forward, typically a winger, coming in and putting pressure, and then 2 kind of clogging up higher up in the zone, and then the defense are coming behind them. And essentially you're trying to, again, the concept of cutting the ice in half, where forcing them to either make a pass, or they're going to be curling down towards this way, and then at that point you're going to be driving them towards the boards. And essentially how that works is, like, let's say, boom, they pass across, you are pushing them towards this way and driving them towards the boards, and then the 2 forwards are going to be kind of covering off the passing options, the close passing options that they have, and it's just going to be forcing a turnover that way. Now, that kind of requires every player on the team to be on the ball and paying attention to where the opponents are. So it becomes tricky. One alternative, I think, for forechecking and how to make life, how to make it a little bit easier, is almost with, you're going to have 2 pressuring, so both the wingers, and then the change is the Ds are going to be covering the wingers, and the center is sticking to the center like glue. So it's almost going to be man-to-man forechecking, and it should probably be less confusing to do and pretty easy to implement. So rather than Kathy chasing the puck like this, she's actually just going to stick close to this player, but not kind of like right next to them in case they spring out this way and you're going to follow them, but close enough where if a puck's going towards them, you're going to be close enough to put pressure on them right away. So like this is how we're going to attach, and it should make forechecking a lot easier. And then if they decide to skate up themselves, then we have some room to work with, right? So a little bit of pressure like that if we have the D gapping up on this player, as well as if the center is sticking to blue helmet like glue. Passes like that would be pretty easy to kill. Like, we'll break up that play, this put pressure on that, and then 1D coming back. Should be relatively easy to implement. So those are some thoughts on a easier to implement forechecking system. So breakout, I would say maybe Mike is jumping the gun a little early, and perhaps Ernest is also jumping the gun early. It's fine, we got open ice here. I think Kathy's in a good position. So we got room to work with on this side, one defender. So yeah, easy pass up, easy chip here would probably make sense. The long diagonal stretch, probably unnecessary there. I don't know. It could work. It was like kind of on the stick. Just couldn't receive it. And then let's skip ahead. I believe there's another breakout that didn't kind of work out so well. Yeah. Okay. So again, I think that importance of ice width, and then essentially, let's kind of rewind a little bit. Yeah, so again, for the center, it's almost, I think, as I keep putting, you almost want to touch that crease and curl up like this, and it's going to put you on a really nice skating path where you can pass, right? And you're going to be able to build up speed really easily. So it's kind of, it's more skating, but puts you in a really strong position to receive those passes and come up with speed. And same thing with the winger. Perhaps we want to just come down like this and then make use of that width rather than, right? This is super awkward. Back's turn, not really in a good prime strong position to receive a pass, versus perhaps over here, right? And as we, and you're essentially, you're skating towards the forecheckers, which like here you can see, boom, like that, could be potentially prime for interceptions, right? Versus making use of that full width of the ice over there that's off screen, can gain an advantage off of that. And like I said before, super awkward position. Doesn't help that perhaps Mike received the puck instead of Kathy, but right, oh, missed the puck, right? It's just, it's awkward when your back is turned and you're really far ahead, unless you're able to pivot on the fly, receive and pivot again. Again, it just, you know, it makes life more difficult for yourself unnecessarily, and now you gotta chase after the puck. And double that, like a double whammy, because you're so far up, it just means, let's say you have to chase a puck, there's not, you're not giving yourself a lot of space to work with, where the D can just easily step in and bump the puck back like that, right? Turnover, boom, back the other way. So yeah, thoughts there. So after that turnover, we just another one, we get the puck back off of kind of a weak dump, and yeah, I think this was probably the safe play once again. I think ideally we want to see Mike a little bit closer to the puck. I think like a pathway that looks kind of like something like this would be pretty good. again, you're just kind of having that, being able to receive that puck. But I think, you know, that safe play to the close winger, we got kind of a lot of room to work with. So the kind of diagonal stretch may be unnecessary. It could work, but I think it might be unnecessary given the circumstances, and of course the little risk of a pepperoni pizza. Again, just a reminder, what that means is you just kind of draw a cone out from the blue line towards the net, and he passes diagonally through it, kind of a risk of a pizza, meaning the opponent can have a turnover in that zone, and anywhere in that zone, you know, it's kind of prime position to come in and shoot to score. So that is the risk. Fortunately, didn't work for a second time. And to follow up with my previous clip, an actual pizza. So this was Mike coming in, loose puck, going around the boards, right? Gets there pretty quickly. Defense is ready to pinch. How do we beat that? Yeah, I guess one choice is, you know, carry it up yourself, force it out. You could always go for the reset, get it back to the D, and we'll do a classic controlled breakout. This team's quite good on the forecheck-in and reading the plays, right? This guy's coming in to read that, and then what is a pizza? We draw a little pizza slice coming in from the net. Any pass coming through that, typically going to be dangerous. And this looks like fresh delivery. So big pizza delivery right there. All right, another breakout. Common theme. What is the problem here? It's just too high, too close to that blue line. And really, what does that mean? Turn around. Holy smokes, the guy's right in front of your face. Why is that? It's because you're right at the blue line, and that's where they're going to stand. So just to acknowledge, the defense is going to be at the blue line. And if you're going to stand at the blue line, the guy's going to be right in your face, right? So rewind this back. Boom. Get downtown. Get your booty downtown, right? Get down there. Don't pivot early. Minimum, bare minimum, bare minimum. That red line. It's going to be counterintuitive. You see Ray's coming up with speed. Why on earth would I want to skate towards him? Right? Doesn't make sense. But, you know, pivoting like this. See, the difference is if you're here, you can receive the puck, turn around, and go. And yes, certainly this forechecker, this forward, could come behind you and stick lift you. Possibility. However, this is a certainty. If you're going to be up here and you receive the puck, that someone's going to be right in your face. That is an absolute certainty versus if you're here, you turn, and they have to chase you, there is a possibility that you get stick lifted from behind and you lose the puck. Versus, like I said, guaranteed certainty to lose the puck and have someone in front of your face. So here's another good one for centers. We'll walk through what can we do to make life easier to get your puck, right? So we can see Dave started to go up like so, and let's just continue watching him, right? He's up there. Now the whole time the back is turned. That means any pass is really tough to get to. So what I think is the better choice, and then now he's super far up by the blue line, right? And the puck's still in our zone. So the tough part, and how I think you're gonna want to do, is he's coming across, and so it's just going to be slow, 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 basically almost touching that crease, right? And you don't turn anywhere. You're just going to be looking, facing that D the entire time, looking at, staring him in the eye. And boom, the moment he decides in a direction, right? So he's decided to go to the right, you're going to be curling up with him. So how does it look? Boom. He's going up like this. You're also going to be curling up together with him. And you're going to be almost parallel, but slightly ahead of him, almost kind of diagonal. And or option 2 is you let him go up, and you're actually going to be trailing him like so. And in either direction, you can trail this way, you can go this way, depending on how he goes. But you're going to be building speed together. Now, if he loses the puck, you can just pick it up after him with speed. Then you can drop it to you. Also, going to be sideways passes. Lots of options, right? And you're going to be moving on the ice together now. So he kind of killed the play right there. So let's say you curled up together like this. Now sideways pass or like this. Super easy to work with. And you're going to be up the ice and ready to break out. Versus, right, you're facing this way. Not going to be in any opportune position. Like you could pass it. It's just going to zoom past you, right? So tough position to be in. Same situation with Kathy, right? Skating forward, face going this way. Yeah, not in a really prime position to receive any passes. So for the breakup for the D, the puck carrier, tough position to be in. We got 2 forwards that you can't pass to, simply because you just see the numbers. So tough situation to be in, right? And then at this point, super high up the ice. We're like past the blue line. So not an ideal situation to be in. So what do we have? Like the most obvious choice. Open player. He's at the blue line. Cross ice pass diagonally to Ernest. Just visually makes the most sense because this is not a good option. This is not a good option. So again, what is our job as on the breakout? Getting open. It's not a race to see who can get to the blue line the fastest, right? It's get open, you need the puck. What do I need to do to get that puck? If that means I have to slow down, stay back a little bit, yeah, that's one option. Is that so keep that in mind. So big pass, could not receive it, turnover back into our zone, but these are some things that we want to think about on the breakouts. It seemed like we were very happy to deliver pizzas today. Another pizza delivery. Let's rewind. Who's puck in the slot? Now, yeah, I mean, I get it. We're trying to clear it out. But, of course, get a little pizza slice. Whoop! Turnover right here. Not the best place to have it. And fortunately, no shot on net. A little sequence leading up to Dave's missed empty nets. We got a little lucky on that one. On the entry, rather. Nonetheless, Kevin's able to keep it in. Wide open net for Dave. Not sure what happened there. It looked like he fanned on it. Fanned. Brings it back to the backhand, misses across the goal line. But we're able to keep it in. Tip shot. And unfortunately, they knocked the net loose, and that's why the whistle was blown. So some good chances there. Okay, so I think this was another one that was memorably hard to pass out. Let's kind of, let's just play it through, and then we'll kind of break it down. Right, so there's and I step on a banana peel, of course. So let's kind of rewind here. So loose puck, and we're kind of going for a change at this point. Ideally, I would have just wanted to move laterally, but I believe I lost the puck, and I'm skating back to behind the net. Now, 1, 2, 4 checkers, and we don't have a lot of forwards coming back at the moment. So I've kind of said before, if we can ideally have, maybe the centerman coming and touching that crease and then coming up together, right? Boom like this, boom like that. Got a winger over here ready to time themselves to go, in essence, almost like going 4 across, right? Somewhat of a line, maybe not necessarily that, like, we don't need to be a complete tidal wave going along in lockstep, but it's a good guideline to fall back upon if you're not really certain. Now, if they give you free space, you take the free space. That's fine. So let's kind of play this along. At this point, we don't really have any good passing options, right? There's 2 forecheckers closing in, and there is immediately perhaps some open ice here, but also on the boards. And one of the things we could consider is the wing option could go this way, but she's opting to go for some free space here. Totally fine. And we could probably expect the winger to also either do this or stay wide. Now the problem that occurs is if you're going to occupy that space, right? If you skip, like we've said before, if you jump too far ahead and you don't pivot, right, your back is turned, and it's really hard to receive any passes. And so, boom, just like that, you're not ready. You are in a perfect spot. Like Alicia's in a really good spot, open space. Got a lot of forechecking pressure here. But the problem is, because you're not viewing the puck and you're not looking at it, how can you ever hope to receive it? Oh, we finally look back, but puck's about to disappear off into this distance. Boom, couldn't receive it, right? So that is a tricky part. Now, hindsight 2020, we could say, in this given situation, rather than passing it up, right? There's tons of forechecking pressure coming in with this momentum, right? Following with this, it would make a lot of sense to just reverse it back and have Mike carry the puck, right? So we go from here, instead of passing it up, boom, drop, pass, reverse, carry the puck, carry back the other way. All these players are coming along, riding the wave, and so in a realistic scenario, we could expect that they're all going to be coming this way, and the puck's going back this way, and we can move it across pretty quickly without any problems, right? So that would probably have been the better play there, without risking too much. But otherwise, yeah, at the same time, we gotta think about how far ahead do we want to move ourselves, right? And by doing so, if we're going to do that, we have to pivot backwards. Otherwise, you're you're just not going to have a really good fun time receiving passes, right? You're not able to see where the puck is coming from, and then so your reaction is going to be late, and you're not in a really good body position to receive pucks facing in the direction of the pass. So good example here. And just for fun, the banana peel one more time. And let's do it again. Okay, enough of that. Skip ahead. Another note, don't do what I do here. We got free space coming up, right? Vast ocean of space. I do see incoming pressure, but honestly, chip it in deep. This is just stupid to try to skate into the middle. Yeah, I guess there is some space if I were able to break through this player, but the safer play is just chip it in deep, especially as a D-man. And then we're back the other way. So don't do that. Now we've kind of previously talked about the dump and chase, and this is something that really okay. So the conditions. What are the let's kind of rewind. What are some conditions that we need to think about to make a successful dump and chase? Is number one. Historically, we have a lot of times had a lot of forwards just parking their asses on the blue line, right, and standing still, and then only when we had no options left to enter the zone, we just throw it in there and then chase after it, right? And that's the worst condition that you can think of to be able to chase a puck. If you need to chase a puck down, why? Like, if you think about it, you want to have a lot of carried speed into the zone, right? So ideally, we're going to be coming in full sprint, and then you dump the puck in early, and then you just continue sprinting down after it, right? And so those are one of the conditions. Now, condition number two is we're very lucky that we have blue line icing in co-ed. So the moment you pass this blue line, you can throw it into the other zone, versus other, like the NHL, you'd have to pass the red line. So that in itself has a lot of freedom of how we can time our puck dump. So one of the things we can definitely think about is having just a D coming in behind the forwards who are coming in with speed, right? And they just chip it in into a corner, and then we dig it out, right? With full speed, and you're catching the defense flat-footed to have to chase after it. So those are some common conditions that you would want to seek in order to make a dump and chase successful. And what other things do we want to think about if we want to implement it more is what kind of conditions for the opponents do we need to seek out to make it worthwhile to even try. So if we have teams that have very aggressive D, right, so they're very close to the forwards, rather than we've had some D teams where they're extremely conservative, as in their D is all the way hugging and kissing the goalie behind the red line, and we can just skate it in. You don't want to dump and chase in that scenario. Now, however, if all their D is holding that blue line like their life depended on it, they're super aggressive, not a single D-man that's slightly conservative, and we're able to come in with a lot of speed, then we can consider dumping into the corners, and more than likely we're going to beat the foot race to get the puck. So something to consider. This is probably like the first time I've tried it. Didn't quite work out, unfortunately, probably with that unlucky bounce, but we can kind of see Kathy kind of had the step up. Just unfortunately that bounce did not go in her favor, but pretty good 50-50 race right there, and his puck is deep in the zone. So I think something worth considering for us in the future to try out more often. So Kev was able to keep the puck in the zone. Good shot, rebound. Should have been a goal. and also Kathy crashing into this player. However, it seems like we've unlocked a cheat code for goalies perhaps to consider. Watch him push off the post, knocks the net loose. Should have been a goal. I don't actually know how net loose works in the NHL if the goalie knocks it off himself, but it seems like a pretty good cheat code for Cliff to use. Oh, you think you're gonna score? Let's just knock the net loose, and we'll get the play dead. So it should have been a 1-1 tie, I think. Actually, do they count it as a goal? No, they don't count it as a goal, so kind of stupid, but whatever. So face off right after that lone whistle, and we have great pass to Dave from Alicia right in the magic spot, so perfect chance. And we get a few more chances here. We're able to keep the puck in the zone. Dave is filling in for Kev. So pretty good puck movement there. We had a couple chances. Now let's break down a couple elements where I think could be improved to make your life a bit easier. So we're able to get it to the point and control it. Now let's rewind a little bit and pay attention to Alicia here. And the first thing she does right off the face-off is she kind of goes to the side of the net. Now that's fine. Now one of the things I think she can consider to make her life a bit easier is she's a bit lower on a circle, so that number one is a sharper angle to shoot towards the net, so it's a harder shot to take versus if you're over here, a little bit of a better angle. But not only that, if you were to move to, let's say, here for example, it's a bit of an easier angle to pass through, right? If through here there is some sticks that could come and intercept, so let's kind of watch how that plays out. Boom, pass. This player tried to reach and get it. Now in addition to that, you can see Alicia had to reach a little bit further so that kind of lane this player wouldn't be able to intercept it. So that's kind of an indication of being so low, you're not in a really good position to receive, because the lane's a bit tougher to pass versus, let's just rewind a little bit. Just moving up to be parallel with the face-off dot will make your life a little bit easier, and then on top of that, the angle to shoot to the net will be a little bit more advantageous. So something to consider, but nonetheless, when you got it, perfect. Something you can consider is if you need to protect the puck, you can always head towards the boards. Just bring it to the perimeter more to buy yourself some time, and then from there you can consider coming back in to look for the shot. Totally fine. So this is good. You didn't immediately go towards the net and then look for the perfect pass. Like I've said, we can try to default at that edge of the circle. Usually it's a really soft spot where people tend to forget about you, versus the slot is usually a more highly occupied area. But nonetheless, this is perfect. Dave was able to get in an even more ideal place. Boom, shot. Very good chance. So some thoughts there. And just before we end this clip, we can watch some more banana peels being placed on the ice. Woo! Okay, so reset. Right, I'm not. The D is moving back, moving back, moving back. I'm not a huge fan of the placement of the forwards right now. Right? Boom, distance, easy interception, knocks it back in, right? And it's quite easy to tell why. Right? You're so far up, all they need to do is stand next to you, easy peasy, like easiest defense in the world. Just stand next to them, right? An interception. So yeah, we like to see, well, I would like to see, come down, turn around, build speed, right? And again, it requires more skating, but like, look, this freeze frame, this is crazy, right? And how easy is it for them to defend? This guy can just skate over here, two strides. This guy's literally breathing down Justin's neck. The only, like, Alicia's kind of coming closer, so that's nicer to see. But holy smokes, like, it's not ideal. I think if they wanted to, so easy. They could literally stand next to you and they can poke check it off. Easiest read in the world. But I don't know, they just gave you like, that was just a free pass. I don't know why, but you can kind of see how that unfolds, right? Versus let's kind of rewind to here. Just imagine Mike was here, a winger was over there and a winger is over here. You know, you're still behind their D, but it kind of allows them, like, the key concept is you're forcing their defense to make a decision. Do they want to be hyper aggressive right there at the blue line? Usually it feels uncomfortable, right? And if you can make them uncomfortable, it's going to buy them space. So they're probably going to be at least here. And so that gives you more room to work with. And then on top of that, you're going to have that room to work with to skate in with speed now. So something to consider in this case it worked out, right? But if they didn't stand at the blue line and just say they stood here, immediately this would be poked, right? So, you know, something to think about for sure. And then move across and we're in. But yeah, something to consider for the resets. Okay, so our goal coming up. Bam. Couple dekes, easy feed, backhand shot, cross crease into the net. Now, some items where I've kind of mentioned before how when we as forwards go very, very high up, right? And we are typically stationary and looking at the puck carrier. In this case, their forwards are going this way. But you can see how just by staying close by allows Kevin to intercept the puck, right? It obviously takes a little bit of effort to do so because he has to maintain some sort of backwards momentum. Like you can see right here, he's backward skating and then had to lunge forward. Now, just think about it this way. They're skating forward, so it's making their lives a little bit more difficult to do this. Now, it's not impossible, but it's more difficult. Now, if you are standing completely still like a statue, which in most cases we are, usually at the red line or even at the blue line, just think about how easy is it to defend. They don't need a backward skate. They can just stand next to you. Any pass that's coming to you, 1-2 strides, interception, back the other way, right? So here is an example of us doing it. So in this case, Kevin, gapping up really close, poke check, and it's loose, and then back the other way, right? And in this case, they have made it harder because they are skating forward, which is something that we would want to implement more often rather than being super far away and standing still. And at this point, it's just boom, deke them out of his pants, deke them out of the pants, and then cross crease. Now it's a good identification by Mike to drive that net and looking for that kind of open space. One of the things that we can also take note of from Mike is a lot of us, or oftentimes I do see, we drive the net and we're like literally inside the crease. And the important thing is you drive to the net, but look how he glides starting from here and really slows and slows down and controls that pace, watching where your teammate is, and then from there finding that open ice. You're not necessarily just skate, hard stop, right? You're really you're using your teammate as that guide, like that guidepost. Where do I want to be at all moments in time to get the best chance for the puck? So that's our first official goal. Unfortunately, like I said before, I think Dave should have got that goal, that the goalie knocked the peg loose, but it is what it is. Quick clip again. That's the problem. We can see instead of staying by the boards, we're moving towards the middle, a little high as well. Kind of like to see getting a little bit lower. You start lower and then start time you're skating up. So rather than start high and then kind of just cruise along slowly. So boom, like that. You can kind of, yeah, there's that pass there. That's an option. Maybe a little bit in his, like from his vision, didn't look so good because got pressure coming in fast. And then yeah, like here, I think ideally probably take a little bit of a wider route and not so far up, for the reasons I've said before. How easy is it for them? If they really wanted to, they could literally stand right here and poke check it. So something to think about. And we're in the topics of pizzas today. Oh, another partial slice delivered today. Pepperoni. I have to make a comment on this one. Coming down the wing, one guy pressuring. Ernest is like way on the other side of town. What kind of pass is that? What kind of pass is that? Holy smokes. How many feet and sticks are you gonna try to feed that one through? Like, this is a better choice. This could be a better choice. This could be a better choice. This could be a better choice. What? Yikes! Right into their feet. So reset, I do like elements of this. So we can see we're cruising down, and then we can just keep buying time, and then by the moment you have that puck, boom, you can start curling up like so. Now let's take a look how we could perhaps improve upon this. So for Kathy, you can see how she came in and it's already like center ice, right? So really I think the problem was the drift towards, you can see how we're moving away from the boards, so we're losing that width of the ice. We just get that natural advantage. So with that kind of, if you're drifting in this way and turning up like that, yeah, you can run into some problems. And right then you can see really close to Dave. Now it's not to say that it's a bad thing, and you just have to be kind of purposeful with how you cruise. Like, it's not to say that you can't cruise through the middle. However, you just kind of, if you're gonna do that, just kind of really be aware of where the opponents are. So we would expect to see shoulder check, as you're continuing going down. And then from there, yeah, like if you can identify that not necessarily you want to curl up like this directly to a player, but you have a purposeful path where you're coming in like this, then you know it makes sense. However, if you're not going to do that, I tend to like to suggest staying wide, like defaulting, just kind of take advantage of that natural ice width, and you're just really stacking on the advantages to yourself and avoiding this. But otherwise, you know, I like how that was done. Now obviously I think, and even how could we make that even better, right, is, you know, Kathy's coming down here, Dave would actually be swooping even lower, or even like if he needs to buy some time, you can even get behind and then boom. So it's kind of like a communication aspect in that essence, but that's kind of what I would prefer. Now I don't see Ernest anywhere, so that probably means he's still very, very high up in the ice. And in this case, maybe it's okay. There he is. He just comes into frame now, but you can kind of see an inkling of a defender right there. Meaning, what did I say earlier? A couple clips, right? It's so easy to defend if you're really high up. 1-2 steps, poke check, and they can get the puck off of you. Versus if we come down low, we have to force the defenders to come towards you, right? Make them feel uncomfortable, and then you'll have a little bit more advantage that way. And then from here, crossovers to build speed. So good elements, and then you can kind of see how yeah, I think just be mindful of how you path, and then if you can take advantage of the ice, like the amount of space, then I would recommend doing so. So I think defensively here, a stretch of small mistakes. Number one, getting caught flat-footed there, and so they're able to beat self wide. And we kind of mentioned before how as a winger, if their D-man is coming in, you can definitely follow them in. Now be careful of not going in too deep. You can see he's kind of crouched in about the red line, and that's about the limit of where you need to be. So in this case, they're coming around. No reason to be all the way down there, right? So right, where as a winger behind the goal line, that's a bit deep, right? Your D-man is still only just in the high slot. And not only that, boom, puck gets loose. Who is the one that gets the puck? It's that right D, right? So a little bit of a small mistake there, and so nobody is able to challenge them with good meaningful speed, and so they were able to get a shot through. And now we're coming up ice. Kind of a bad turnover at the blue line. We could argue it's a pizza. It's more like a crust bite, if anything. But not a preferable turnover for sure. Now, what can we do better? Obviously, skating it up would be preferable, but again, with wingers, rather than it is usually going to be preferable if you go, in this case Alicia, is continue skating towards that boards, so it would be really easy to bounce it off that. So one of the things you can do is just point towards the boards with your stick and skate meaningfully towards there, and that's usually gonna have an indication for the D-man that that's where you want it. In this case, yeah, pretty sucky turnover at the blue line. Thankfully, it's not a huge hot pepperoni slice. It's more like the edge of the cheesy crust. But they come in and get a pretty juicy shot, so not ideal. Now let's continue watching defensively. Yeah, some missed coverage on 23 in here. How does that happen? The center is too caught with the puck and drifting away from the players that we need to cover. And then, yeah, this is not looking pretty. Okay, so now we can see the defense is coming in. The winger is definitely able to follow them in. That's not a problem. This is good. Like, we're relatively close, so you're not letting them shoot. So they're forced to rim it back down. Perfectly fine. This is fine. Like, defense has taken this player. We just need to cover 1, cover 2. So positionally right now, we are good. And unfortunate, we fell on our booty. Let's continue watching. Positionally still okay. Yeah, so these parts are not like, we can see how we have conscious efforts trying to stay with the D, so this is good to see. One of the things is we just momentarily lose track of where the players are, and it's quite clear there is a skating skill difference, so that's not a problem per se. It's just to be kind of expected, but there, we're able to clear the zone. So some small things, I think in general the positioning was okay. And yeah, I mean, just kind of make sure you shoulder check more, follow the players, don't get caught puck watching too much and drifting towards it. Just kind of identify the player that you need to cover, because it doesn't really matter where the puck is. If the player can't get it cleanly, then it's okay. Like, to identify this one, good thing is, boom, what do we see the difference of is forward skating, right? Rather than stopping here and facing the puck carrier, and then you need to pivot and then skate. We are already skating forwards, which allows for, you don't need to build up speed, right? You're able to catch the puck and proceed. Now, unfortunately for her, someone decided to put some more banana peels on the ice, and then she did a pirouette, but the idea still remains the same. We always want to be putting ourselves in a position to be skating forward. Now, whether that means we need to come back down and then skate up rather than staying stationary up there, then that's what you need to do. But these are kind of basic habits that we would want to build towards, to always kind of make sure that we have a forwards momentum. All right, we get the puck, we put it back to reset. I guess suspicious on how we are breaking it out. I think normally with pressure coming in, I would say most of us would want to skate towards behind the net, but that's not what's kind of suspicious. What's suspicious is we got our left wing coming in, resetting it to our D, perfectly fine. but we're all cruising to the side. Meaning that nobody would be here to receive it if we need to. And we can kind of see how an easy board pass right here, right to the middle, off to the races, right? Would make the most sense. But we're all kind of skating off to Narnia. Not sure, not sure. Now, one of the things for, I guess, Dave, but I think that in this case it is Mike, is what can a center do? And I think it's just kind of come in really close, right? You can see how this just tiny gap, you're just getting close for a small pass, and then we can go up that way. Yeah, I mean, interesting choice. Now, you can make an argument, I could make an argument that if he were to reset it, boom, reset, right? And then went behind the net, turned and faced the puck carrier so that you can pass behind the net, and then you started skinning up with speed, yeah, maybe that would make more sense. However, skinning it like this, just no pass is ever going to come out through that way, right? Who would want to ever pass in front of the goalie, possibly hitting Cliff in the butt and into the net, right? It doesn't make any sense. So a path like that doesn't make any sense. So enough of this, on to the next clip. This one's pretty good. So Kev's able to get the puck, and I guess one of the things I have said is we want to be careful of being too far ahead, right? And the worst situation is if your back is completely turned to the puck carrier. Now we can see here it's more of a 45-30 degree angle, and so therefore Justin, and he's on his forehand, he's able to kind of receive this puck on his forehand without too much difficulty. Now, how do we make this even easier is if perhaps he had more width, right, coming in this way, so therefore the angle is not so severe. So that's one option. This is perfectly fine, but you know, just talking about what other scenarios can we think about. And like I've said kind of previously, if you are caught up ahead, you would want to be skating backwards. In this case, we can see Kathy is facing Kevin, so that's going to make life easier for her if the puck were ever to come to them. And what are some more elements of making this work better is forwards momentum, right? And the important thing is identifying that we're not so far ahead that perhaps that pass would be very difficult to receive without pivoting. And yeah, so just make sure pucks are usually going to be coming in from your side. I would say 45-degree angle is usually going to be the most extreme case that you can reasonably receive the puck without pivoting. And otherwise, if you cannot pivot, it is more advised to take width, or just kind of reducing the angle by not like going too far ahead. So let's cut this drawing in half. Let's say a player is here, so rather than being all the way up here going forward, you would want to be right. This angle is very sharp, versus if you were here, over here, right? This is a not so sharp angle. So I think this was my favorite breakout, essentially. Um, uh, so we'll focus on D first, and we've kind of said in the past how if we have pressure, so we've won the puck, boom, we got pressure, like immediate forechecking pressure. So we want to expect the D to start skating backwards and gaining width of the ice. So what do? We pass backwards. So we kind of want to be doing a zigzag pattern backwards to reduce the amount of pressure that we have, right? So boom, pass across, and now we need to position ourselves wide and backwards so that we could, if we need to, zigzag backwards, right? So we have now started from here to there, now back to here, so we can expect to be somewhere back there. So let's continue. Boom, pass across. So now we've kind of gained that, like we've relieved a lot of pressure, and we're kind of forcing the other team to be in an uncomfortable position. We're saying, do you want to come in deeper and risk having odd man rushes back the other way? Well, if so, come on in. And we can kind of see how just a simple pass is going to be way faster than a player skating, right? So let's kind of rewind. You can just observe this forechecker right here going back and forth. You see they're going to be exhausted. Oh, back the other way. Oh my god, what kind of life am I living here, right? And so by doing that, we are able to relieve a lot of pressure, and you can see lanes kind of open up. This would probably be the best choice, but that said, lots of pressure coming in this way, so it could be feeding Alicia to disaster, and by moving it diagonally, big risk of course by interception, but the risk is mitigated with players offside. So, and we're able to make it up the ice. Unfortunately, that pass didn't get too clean, but the concept was still there. Now let's rewind again. Let's focus on the forwards. As we are relieving pressure, ideally I would like to see our forwards coming in a little bit closer, right? We're still staying up high by the middle, like center ice. What would I have preferred to have seen? Come all the way down below the blue line at a bare, like just kind of a base guideline. Now if it's like you're getting a lot of open ice, like let's say these defenders are inside their zone, okay, maybe you can sneak up a little bit, but you know, the fact still remains the same. We're really high and we don't want to be having our back turns, and the only way to do that is we turn and face, right? But the problem is when you're so far up, you still have to pivot, you still have to build up speed, and being so far allows defenders to be super close to you and take the puck off of you, right? So yeah, we can see it's still very high up, not something we want to do, and let's take advantage of that width. We can stay there, come down low, and then we can turn. So we don't need to moving into the center ice, moving back to the wing boards, moving back to center ice, right? And let's see, one of the things with Dave at center, he's kind of said, what could he do better? He's finding himself doing figure eights all day long, and part of that is because there's not really any good lanes to him. We can kind of watch it in its entirety here. All these forechecking pressures. He is kind of open, but not really. There's like 3 players next to him, and we'll repeat it again, going back this way. Well, there's the person here. We don't want to give a pizza, right? Especially with the forechecker right there. So we just, what do we want to do? We relieve pressure, get it back to the other side. And again, Dave is there, but we've got a lot of pressure. Now, what could he do differently to make his life a little bit easier and possibly make it open? And this is where the interesting part of coming down even lower makes sense. So So I would have said come down, like you're almost doing what 28 is doing. And then let's continue playing. As it moves across, you would have come down almost like in front of number 7, right? And you're going to be kind of in this pathway, and that's a pass, but we want an expectation of the other D to come behind. So there's going to be 2 passing lanes like that opens up. So you're almost like, my argument is almost that we're too high. We kind of almost want to brush that line, and then again turn. Like if it passes, you can see how Dave passes turning his back. What I would have preferred, what I would suggest is you turn this way, almost exactly how number 7 is doing it. You turn, and then almost exactly how number 7 is doing it. Like that. Actually, that's almost the perfect example. We go across, we follow the puck, and then we're going to be curling up. Look, just exactly like that. If Dave was kind of skating in that pattern, right, that is like the perfect breakout movement. Maybe not in this scenario, but that's kind of like exactly how you would want to think about moving. Like you're coming in like this. So yeah, something to identify and for centers. So mistakes were made here. Kind of hucked it up. Understandably, Alicia's a little further up to stay close to the fence. That's fine. It would have been, I guess, more ideal if that puck were able to bounce up, but yeah, it's reasonable. Loose puck, shot on net, and then yeah, if not stopping by Ray, I guess there's that risk of even deflecting into the net with this one. Stops it from Cliff making the save and gathering the rebound. Boom. Opponent just strips the puck off of him and into the net. So very unfortunate. Yeah, that's a tough one. Another breakout. I think in general this was kind of fine. Yeah, I think, I don't know. I still think maybe taking that width will help Ernest in receiving that puck. It's been like, this is like maybe the 4th or 5th time the puck gets there and it just explodes off the stick. And I don't know, I do wonder if it's like, yeah, one of the things is perhaps we're turning in too far deep into the center. Like so, right? And I think the easiest way, to be honest, is we're coming down low, right? But keep it tight and like keep that width, and you're still going to have that forwards momentum, and then it'll give you kind of a better body positioning to receive that puck, and also allow for it to bounce off the boards, and then you can gather it and continue if you need to, right? And then so that part is unfortunate, like it kind of explodes off the stick and you had to chase after it. So I think just kind of taking that width is going to help you be able to receive that puck a little bit easier, I think. Yeah, some more interesting quick breakouts, right? So we're gathering the puck up here like this. We could say the winger, Kathy in this case, could drive to the boards and then backward skate, like pivot backwards and then look and then receive and pivot back. That's one option. Understandably, I think coming up the middle is okay too, if we are expecting the right D to kind of take that ice and go to the middle. That's fine. Yeah, I think the other questionable one is the left wing coming in through the middle. So it's like we have our double wingers coming in the middle. I guess that is the more questionable aspect of this breakout. And so, what is the problem with that? The problem is there is not really a good widening passing option, right? So spacing is kind of important, right? We got a concentration of wingers in the middle, so we don't have the luxury of multiple passing options, right? It's essentially clumped as one, so you know that kind of reduces effectiveness. Yeah, more breakout examples. Very high up, meaning super easy to intercept, right? And you can see they're already kind of anticipating, oh, is her pass going to be here? Very easy interception, and not really good passing option, right? Maybe at this point you can cut to the middle, and that could be an option, certainly. Well, we can kind of see how being too far away has its own problems. And then, yeah, I don't know. It just feels like we're very allergic with staying wide, coming to the middle towards the defenders versus taking that kind of open space. Not exactly sure why, right? You can see all this extra space that we can occupy. We can really take full use advantage of, and then from there we can do the same thing, like achieve the same effect by coming out to in and getting a shot on net. But yeah, I mean, lots of reasons as I've outlined previously, but we can see more examples here. All right, third goal against. Fortunately, this player was able to bust through the middle. So at this point, the puck is right here, and we'll kind of draw a little diagram. Let's say Cliff's pad is, so here is his left pad and his right pad. And the puck's kind of like sitting here like so. I guess one concern is if you come in and put your stick up against it, it is kind of scary to knock it into your own net, but also kind of thinking the ref might blow it. But yeah, understandably it's loose. You can see the puck. So when he started yelling loose, loose, I tried to go and cover it, but this player comes in and starts poking away at it. And the worst part is it's loose, and I am trying to knock it into the corner. But what do I do instead? I knock it into the post and in. And so, own goal. Sad life, sad life. Very frustrating. So we were able to kind of get the puck in, but the play was broken up, and we get the puck there. Perfectly fine, we're in a good spot. I guess the most sketchy part was making the pass along the blue line like so, especially with a player here that could have broken it up and went for a breakaway. Fortunately, it worked, but definitely a high risk play. Now, if you're not sure, like with something like that, I do tend to advise shooting it down the boards, so just get it kind of deep into the zone. It's a safer play. May not necessarily, like, we may have to fight for the puck back and dig for it, but generally at least it won't have the higher chance of a breakaway going the other way. Fortunately we get it, kind of get a shot, but it gets blocked. So yeah, I think going back before the shot, rather than just shooting it here, kind of taking a look, maybe finding a better angle, or even just like continuing possession on the perimeter may have been the better play here, rather than kind of a weak shot like that. Yeah. Okay, so a little bit of a reset. We get the puck behind the net. I've said that's generally going to be a place where you can really observe the ice and make kind of more informed decisions while buying yourself some time. You can pass it like this. We got a forechecker coming in. So generally we may want to move out this way to create a little bit extra spacing, but otherwise going D to D like that, we have kind of dealt with this forechecker here. We're buying ourselves some time to work with. And but positionally, I can say perhaps there's some suspicious, like let's actually rewind here. So Ernest is on the wing, but for some reason he wants to skate closer to a defender. Not sure why. It seems like we said before, we are somewhat allergic with the boards. I don't know. We just love the center of the ice. We are missing a center. Mike is on that right wing side. And then, but, well, don't worry about it. Our wingers love going to the middle for some reason. Maybe Kathy's case it's understandable, but yeah, I don't know. We like coming to the middle, so I guess no worries there. And it works out, but definitely a very strange breakout. And you know, just like this, just this play alone has eliminated all the options for Kathy. Like, she can never pass to the left side because there's no left winger. So definitely strange.